Okay, there we go. So we're waiting for a few more folks to come in from the lobby. We'll get started in about a couple of minutes. Is everyone excited? Woo! Okay, awesome. See you soon. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Good morning, everyone. All right, I need a little bit more energy. Good morning, everyone. That's what I'm talking about. So I purposely made sure that this event started at 10 a.m. So at least we would have more energy in the room. How about that? Okay. So greetings. My name is Talyn Twine. I'm Director of Community Investment for the Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services. And I want to welcome each and every one of you to the Western Maryland Tri-State Reentry Symposium, the first of its kind as we gather together federal, state, local, community-based organizations, and last but certainly not least, those that have been impacted and or justice involved. And so we come together in the spirit of reentry and reintegration here in Western Maryland today. You'll hear about the history of incarceration in Western Maryland, employment opportunities, and reentry resources and services. You'll also hear about the progress of the Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services under the leadership of Secretary Carolyn J. Scruggs, first female and African American secretary in all of Maryland history for public safety. So I hope that you'll take advantage of this opportunity to learn, network, and grow, and also receive further information about how you can get involved, if you're not already involved, in the reentry and reintegration process of not only Western Maryland, but all of the state of Maryland. So, without further delay, at this time, we would like to all welcome the Western Maryland DPSCS Color Guard. So if all of you would please rise as we present the colors during the playing of our national anthem. Okay, thank you so much again to our Western Maryland DPSCS Color Guard, who, by the way, won an award, first place, at the 97th Annual Mummers Day Parade here in Hagerstown just this past weekend. So that was a fun time. And so now, as we get into the program, we have a special inspirational video that we'd like to show all of you.
People have this reoccurring nightmare that there's something, some force got a hold of them and it's holding them down and they can't break free. No matter what they do, can't break free from that force. Well, I'm here to tell you that thing in your nightmare, that thing that's holding you back, that thing that's dragging you down, that thing is you.
There are two fundamental attitudes toward life and its sorrows. Those with the first attitude blame the world. Those with the second ask what they could do differently. It's much easier and much more gratifying to your basest desires to blame someone else.
You know what's so funny? We want people to make guarantees to us, but we're not willing to make guarantees to ourselves. That's the problem with some of you. You always want to blame other people. You owe you an explanation. You need to look yourself in the mirror and say, why are you only giving 50%? What's wrong with you? You need to put yourself on punishment. I need to tell you no more TV, no more snacks, no more dessert. No, we working out now. You need to tell you that you owe you something.
Every day, I demand more from myself than anybody else can humanly expect. I'm not competing with somebody else. I'm competing with what I'm capable of. My number one competition is me. It's always you versus you. You gotta be the one to get up every morning, be disciplined, put in consistent daily hard work, because to gain success. No coach, no trainer, no mentor, no boss. Do it. You versus you.
I value myself enough to give 120%, but don't do it. There is no excuse for not living up to your full potential. No excuse. You walk in this room, you owe yourself. I didn't get here making excuses. What changed? I changed. And I stopped being a big. I stopped saying I've got to wait for good things to happen to me. And I said I'm going to grind. I'm going to fight. I'm going to work. I'm going to press toward. I'm going to learn. I'm going to do everything in my power every single day to become a victor and not a victim. Why? Because I owe it to myself. Can't nobody stop me but me.
All right. So nobody can stop us but us, right? All of us here in this room, no matter what role we play in reentry and reintegration, all have a critical part to play. And we can have some bad days, but I often like to highlight those good days. Why? Because at the end of the day, nobody can stop us but us to help ensure that individuals who are just as involved come back to the community safe and securely, that their family members all get the help and support that they need, and that each and every day, each and every one of us feels empowered and feels like we are unstoppable. How do we do that? By what we have done today, which is create community around this issue. So with that being said, without further delay, I'd like to bring up our first opening speaker for the morning, Dr. James S. Clubber, who is the president of Hagerstown Community College. We are so happy and grateful that you have allowed us to host this event here. So if everyone could please give a round of applause to President Clubber.
Wow, I don't know about you, but I'm glad I woke up at 5 this morning and worked out. I'm watching that video. I'll tell you what, because I can really relate, because there are mornings when I wake up at 5 and I say, oh, let's just move the alarm clock up an hour and a half, and I get up at 6:30 in bed and skip it. So I feel good now that I got up and did my thing. So I want to welcome all of you, Mayor Martinez, Delegate Grossman. I don't know if we have any other elected officials in the room, but those are the ones I recognize from Washington County. So let me say that and welcome all of you to Hagerstown Community College. I will tell you, I am passionate about prison education. We are working on a 2-year. They told me at the beginning, I said it's going to be a 2-year process to get Second Chance Pell approved at your institution. I did not believe them, but the U.S. Department of Department of Education, grind slowly, and it's going to be 2 years, quite frankly, before we get approved. But once we do get approved, we're going to be inside. We're going to be doing building training. We're going to be working with Department of Corrections on horticulture program, and then we're going to have a 2-year general studies program available. And we're excited about that. And we do some other work as well, but we're really excited about that Second Chance Pell and being able to be in there and work with folks who are justice involved and are going to come out, and they're going to go to work and do something. And that is where we also come in. I know we work with close gatekeepers and others to try and bring people in many of our skilled trade programs, and I could not be more excited about the center that we're going to be opening, the Bowman Center on Northern Avenue. If you're not from Washington County, drive by. It's under construction and is going to be finished probably early part of next year. But we're excited about that because it's going to give us opportunity for folks to re-enter, come in and get the skills they need to become gainfully employed. And we see that as very important, that it is the dignity of having a job, provide your own self-worth, and for that and provide for you and your family. Those are critical things that we see as important that we can provide here at Hagerstown Community College. Everybody has their part. Everybody has their role to play, and that is the role we play, and we're happy to be a partner with all of you. So with that, hope you all have a great day and have a great conference.
All right, President Klauber, thank you once again. And next, I'd like to welcome to the stage Christy Wasilenko, who's the Director of Reentry for Centurion Health.
Good morning and welcome. Thank you for coming to the Western Maryland Tri-State Reentry Symposium. I was hoping I got that right. So we are here from Centurion. We are a sponsor today. And just telling you a little bit about our organization for those of you who don't already know. We provide the medical and mental health services in the Maryland prisons and the Baltimore City jails. We have been in Maryland for almost 2 decades, and we started with mental health and grew to be the provider of medical and mental health care in the prison system. So I was going to start off by telling you my journey in reentry. I started as a reentry coordinator approximately 12 years ago in the Baltimore City jail system. At the time, I was working in the contract under the mental health contract. So the individuals who we worked with had mental health needs. They have severe mental illnesses. So as you can imagine, reentry is already hard enough. Worrying about where you're going to live, worrying about your support system, worrying about how you're going to get to and from. So to have a mental illness or another chronic medical condition or a substance disorder intensifies the stigma related to reentry. So I want to thank everybody here, professionals that are working the reentry, as well as elected officials that are motivated and dedicated to work with reentry. A lot has changed in the years that I've been here, and I'm seeing a very positive direction in which this is going, and I would like to see it continue. So thank you everyone today for participating and engaging, and I look forward to hearing from each and every one of you, organizations, and how you began reentry.
All right. Christy, thank you so much. And next, we have Mr. Bill Gertner, who is the Executive Director of Gatekeepers.
Good morning. I've got a few guys that I want to say hello. Eric, Steve, come on up. So we're Gatekeepers, very pleased to be able to participate in this event. Reentry is the name, and it's a game that we play very seriously, and we've been playing it very seriously when we were in prison. And as you all know, that reentry starts at the impact, the day we went to prison, that's when reentry starts. So when we were putting together reentry conference, I had to reach back to the first paragraph that we wrote about reentry, and so it had to do with my posse. And before we get into that, I'd like to thank Ms. Wyman, who's been working on this symposium for months, and she had just finished putting one together at Oregon State, where a lot of us have been, and here we are in Hagerstown in Western Maryland. And we would not be in Western Maryland if it wasn't for the great reentry people that we have. And it starts right here at the Hagerstown Community College. Dr. Klauber was very brief in his words. I remember when he first came here, and I got an invitation to meet with him, and he said two things. He said, number one, I come from Alabama, and we do two things really well. He said, we do football well, and we do prison education well. And so, moving fast forward, Hagerstown Community College is doing much better than Alabama football. So we know that. And having said that, reentry is something that Gatekeepers started with Malin Camphor, and my 11 years ago, I walked out of prison and walked into Hagerstown, and the third week they said, you've got to meet this guy, Malin Camphor, who's the reentry coordinator for the county right now. At that time, he was working for the Department of Labor. And I said, I'm new, I don't know anyone. And he said, I'll help you. So he would walk me around Hagerstown and introduce me to everyone. And then whenever there was a meeting, he would invite me, and I would go to all the meetings. So that's one of the basic reasons we had why I'm here today. But most importantly, we said reentry, which is the focus for the next 6 hours, starts within. So, and there's so many hardworking people here who work with justice investment people. We've got our great people from GoCap, the justice reinvestment people. We have the parole officers. We have social workers and psychologists. And I look around and see so many people we've worked with, people from Maryland Correctional Enterprises, prison education. And I want you to know that the four of us is why you go to work every day. All four of us were locked up together in Correctional Institution at MTC, the State Penitentiary. And we met each other in 2010, and look where we are today. This is why we're here. This is why each of you are here to look at us and say, when you go home at night, Daddy, what do you do? Mom, what do you do? He said, I want to put Bill Greer up here. I want to put Keith Roy up here. I want to put Steve Albright here, and I want to put Eric Jr. here. This guy was a Buddhist. We converted him to Catholicism. This guy ran the laundry with me. He ran the machines. I did the paperwork. And this guy was the clerk for the chaplain, for the Protestant chaplain. We were all at the same place. And every Monday night there was religious meetings. We were up in the fourth floor of this hallowed building, the old penitentiary. It was built in 1890. And we were afraid to walk up the stairs. So one at a time, we couldn't go at the same, all four at the same time. And just take a moment and think of the four individuals all of you are responsible for. And every day when you go to work, there's four of us around. And that's why we're here. That's Reentry. Thank you.
tears. And if anybody knows me well, I'm the biggest crybaby at DPSCS. Bill and gentlemen, thank you so much. Thank you to all the team members, gatekeepers as well. Next, I'd like to invite to the stage our very own mayor of Hagerstown, Mayor Keisha A. Martinez.
Wow, good morning, everyone. Wow. That's putting back tears, too. First of all, welcome. Welcome to Hagerstown. Welcome to the Hagerstown Community College, where I absolutely failed public speaking 2 times. You know, I figure by now I should at least get an honorary credit or something. So my role in how I got into reentry work, outside of being the mayor, was I'm going to go see my mom and uncles at the facility, whether it was the Washington County Detention Center or one of my uncles was housed at Maryland Correctional Institution or Roxbury. Later on, I taken my daughter to go see their fathers. Had 5 kids by the age of 25. My mom suffered a nervous breakdown when her mom, who worked for the mayor's office, had a heart attack and passed away with me in the bed with her. My mom didn't come back from that. My grandfather did a lot of dignitary work in the city of Hagerstown. His role later on in life, but 5 kids by age of 25, taking my daughters all to the prison at one point in time to see their dad. Later on, I ended up at the county jail. I did 4 months at the Washington County Detention Center while pregnant with my son, almost my son in jail, for multiple different things. One was fighting, and another reason was for an $8.53 check. And so coming out of foster care, moving right into public housing was not a good idea because I've never really had an opportunity to be on the start line. I've always started owing someone something. So how do I become the mayor of my hometown? Multiple different things. I've written poetry since probably 7 years old. I moved to Baltimore. I left Hagerstown because I hated it. I hated everything about it. I hated the way people treated my mom. She walked into places to get help. I hated the way people treated me because of my last name, because of who I was connected to. So I moved to Baltimore, took my 4 daughters with me. Wasn't long before the guy that I was dating got killed by police and sent me back to Hagerstown. I came back home. Home is where the heart is. Home is where we're safe at. When I came back home, I had little girls with me that I needed to figure out how to respond without responding and end up in jail. And so poetry, I brought poetry back with me. In Baltimore, I walked into an open mic. It changed my life. I started an open mic here about 14 years ago. I was bringing poets from all over. We've hosted a show here. I couldn't even afford to pay for it. It just always worked out. But I did that for a while, and things, again, conflict has always been right here. And the conflict of who I was, who I am, and then who God created me to be, and I couldn't figure it out. Couldn't figure out who I was because I didn't know who my mom was. A conflict, not able to talk to her. And so what I want to share with you is conflict has a cost. Later on, I became a mediator. I ended up going into facilities to help folks that were 2 years or less make a plan about what life would be like after they came home. It was my favorite part of mediation. Actually, I met Ms. Karen, who will be in a panel later on. She now works in reentry, but she was a CEO at Roxbury whenever I did there. And boy, anything about going to the prison, whether you're going to see someone or you're going to provide a service, it's still nerve-wracking. It still can be a little bit scary. But Karen was the CEO there that I would talk with when I go in. Relationships are so important. Again, conflict has a cost. I navigated into the role through mediation. I was facilitating conversations between the police and the youth, as well as between the community and elected officials, which is very, very important because I'm hypersensitive. I'm hypersensitive sensitive to discord, to dysfunction, and to division. And one of the things that really, really has the biggest cost is people not understanding exactly who they are and being heard and understood. And so that's the most impactful work that I do if I go to court with someone, just making sure that they heard what was said and not what they thought was said, if that makes sense. I love the work that I do. I am 26 more days as the mayor of the city of Hagerstown, and I get to get back to work as a neutral person within my county. Again, conflict has a cost, and when you have 3 prisons and a detention center, and people don't know who they are, going into services and meeting someone who does not have the ability nor the capacity to be able to understand someone from where they are causes more trauma. It causes more trauma, and it sends people like me back into the system that they don't need to be in. If we just take our time and do this, become aware, understand what it means to be reentered, and also understand what it means to really, really like not have any connections, to not have a posse, to not have a family, to not have people that understand you, people that don't look like you or sound like you, take this wrong, you know, like the lip. No, it's just because I grew up kind of fighting for my mom. I grew up fighting for my sibling in court, and so my lip curls a little bit every time I feel like there's something that could be making me or anyone within my city unsafe. Again, enjoy your day. Thank you, Bill. Bill's a part of my posse. I have an incredible posse because I'm a gatekeeper. Gatekeeper is the business of living, is the very thing that helps me to this day to be able to navigate through the city. Thank you, and have a great day.
Thank you, Mayor Martinez, and it has been such a pleasure and honor to know her and to get to know more about her story and her work. And by the way, also the first African-American mayor for the city of Hagerstown. So we're celebrating a lot of firsts here today in this room, and that's something that we need to all be proud about. Next, we have a special video presentation.
Let's be mindful, even though you are here because of a challenge, your education is transformative. Education is the key to your success. And though you may have a challenge facing you right now, know that your education can be the stepping stone to you getting over the challenge. I encourage each and every one to continue to invest as you come in and gain everything that's been poured into you. I thank the parents for coming out today because family is important. That support, those of you that are online and that are here with us today, support is also key to their transformation. Here at Bigger Street Academy, we continue to invest in our young people because it is our hope and goal that they will come back into our community better than they were when they came to us.
Yes. So just a few special words from our secretary, Carolyn J. Scruggs. Unfortunately, is unable to be here with us today due to a family-related matter. She sends her regards, but I will speak on her behalf today and for our department that, once again, reentry starts from day one under her leadership. So many of us within the department have been given the wings to, or the room, I should say, to spread our wings and to grow the work of reentry. And it's been a pleasure and an honor, really, to work for such a leader. Because in just a short amount of time, our team has been able to accomplish so much. Many of you know about the first reentry conference that we held with EPSCS at Morehead State University statewide this past June. We've launched 211 Maryland, that partnership, which will become the first online reentry resource comprehensive for the state of Maryland. So anyone, even around the world, can start researching and learning about what programs are here in Maryland and able to easily access those even more. So we've been able to accomplish. We've gotten under our educational unit And we have Secretary Renard Brooks in the room today. And he and his team and Executive Director Al Rappaport, for example, just expanding all that we've been doing for reentry, treatment services, substance use disorder, and education. Bringing online, for example, Bowie State University and Boucher and Coppin and Georgetown, for example. These are just a snapshot of what we've been able to accomplish again in such a short period of time to further enhance. But I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge all of you here in this room and organizations that are not able to be here today, because we can't operate in a silo and expect to see our community, because essentially, whether they're physically here or behind those walls, each and every person is still part of our community. So I want all of you to give yourselves a clap for being here today. Okay. So, again, thank you for just bearing with us through our opening remarks this morning. I promise you we'll catch up in our time. And without further delay, I'd like to bring to the stage the History of Incarceration in Western Maryland panel. So all of you participating, if you could please make your way on either side, whichever is more convenient, and we'll get started. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I want to officially welcome our panelists here to the History of Incarceration in Western Maryland topic. And in order on the screen, as you can see here and on our stage, we have Joshua Lemons, who is the Reentry Affairs Coordinator for FCI Cumberland Bureau of Prisons, Department of Justice. We have Ann Dial, who is the Reentry and Transition Specialist, the Maryland Correctional Training Center. Deani Hughes, who is the Reentry Outreach Specialist for Western Correctional Institute. Malin Camphor, who is the Reentry Coordinator for Washington County Detention Center. Keith Royce, who is the Director of Operations for Gatekeepers. Officer Robert Horn, who is the Reentry Outreach Specialist for the Annapolis Police Department. Last but certainly not least, Mayor Takesha Martinez, City of Hagerstown. Okay, so we're going to start first with Mr. Smith. So kindly give us some background on what you do at FBI Cumberland, and tell us a little bit about the history of reentry and what you've seen over the years.
Good morning, everyone. One more time. Is it working now? There we go. Hey, the guinea pig. Good morning, everyone. Started off as a public school teacher and came into the Bureau of Prisons as a GED teacher in South Carolina. I'm originally from the Cumberland area. Moved up here in 2014 and took a job as a reentry coordinator at Cumberland. And at the time, a lot of people were thinking that would be a thing that would be something we pushed through the years and wouldn't be up to the Bureau of Prisons in the future. Fast forward to today, and we are more than ever doing for reentry in our facilities with the First Step Act. We currently do a lot of things as far as classes. Not only it's just GED, but we do apprenticeship. We do some stuff with some community colleges. We do just basic things with RDAP, which is residential drug and alcohol programs. But one of the things that I have seen over the years is the growing support through the communities. One of the things throughout the years, Ms. Twyman and Bill, they make my life easy. If I hold an event or want to do something for the guys at the facility, the executive staff is always on board, and they do all the hard work and get people in. Take all the credit for it. So it makes me look good. Throughout the years, a lot of people sitting in here, Galen, Officer Horn, Mrs. Grossman, and her husband James, come to our facility and work with our guys. One of the things with the federal facility is we have guys from Utah, Arizona, Alaska, wherever you want to say, but we also have the guys who are going home to here in Maryland. And we want to make sure that those guys have those resources when they leave. They're not going to wait till they get to the streets to find out what's available to them. Find out ahead of time, start with the things. So over the years, we have had reentry resource fairs for DC. We've had them for West Virginia, and we've had them for Maryland. And West Virginia has many reentry councils. I even work with one in Pennsylvania called Spark with Pittsburgh. One of the things in Maryland, we've not really had a reentry council per se, but a big help from Lynn and other community resources. Always make sure they come in and provide resources or send me information. So the Bureau is constantly growing. Our current director, Peters, she's 100% behind reentry and programming. It's one of the things we push. We actually answer to Congress now. So it wasn't just check the box. They want to know exactly what we're doing, so we report that to them, what kind of programs we're having, whether it be mental health, education, doing things for housing, parenting, things like that. So we'll talk about history, but I'm going to do a shameless plug. I could go on forever. But we'll do a shameless plug on November 20th. We are going to have a Maryland Reentry Resource Fair at our facility. I have plenty of background history checks that you have to do. But, other than that, there's a letter with it, and it'll give you the information. So if you're interested in coming to FCI Cumberland on the 20th of November to our meeting facility inside in the morning, the camp in the afternoon, and want to provide resources and talk about things, we'd be glad to have you. Thank you.
Josh, thank you so much. And you know, the federal piece is important because, as previously mentioned, we have 3 state prisons here in Washington County. Then we have our detention center, but then we also have a federal prison, an hour and 11 minutes from here, practically, and then not too far over the border in West Virginia, another. So we're talking about essentially, what is that, 6 institutions that have individuals from this region, the tri-state area, incarcerated. And so when we're thinking about the population that we're serving here, let's keep some of those things in mind. So next we have Ann Style.
Is it on? Yeah. Yes. I didn't know what to do with this, so glad he came. So as mentioned, my name is Ann Style. I'm a reentry specialist for, I work out of MCC, and I have 4 minutes to share with you my 27-year career in corrections. So I'm 1997, I was hired on at RCI as a psychology associate, so I started out in the psychology department. And of course, I worked with a very, very small percentage of the population, which were the severe mentally ill or the mentally ill. And they were typically assigned to social work, so release planning. So from my perspective, everything was well and good because my cases were being assisted. So I was there for about 10 years. Then I moved over to case management, and that's where my eyes were opened a little bit wider because I now realize that there are individuals other than those with mental illness that need assistance. And there was really no one to give them that assistance other than maybe a social worker or a case manager packet, or the day of release given a flyer that says 211, here's where you can go, here's a list of shelters and things like that. So I was actually on the brink of retirement, and then a position for reentry came available. And I was interested, and I took it, and I'm very thankful that I took it because it's been very rewarding. So what we do now with reentry, and I've been here in this position for 4 years, and it has just grown tremendously. And I'm constantly, in fact, I made a reconnection this morning, and we're throwing ideas over, and so I'm really excited about that. But what we do now, which I have not seen before, is that we are bringing community partners back into the facility so that they can work with individuals that are going back to Baltimore, going back to, or staying in Washington County. And I think that's been the most effective because, as I said before, just handing them a piece of paper and saying good luck doesn't do a whole lot of good, but it may have been somewhat helpful. But having the connection now with someone, you can see a face, they have a name, and when they go out, they know this person is waiting on them. Or in Washington County residents, if they need transportation, I call gatekeepers, and gatekeepers is waiting for them at the door. I see a lot of people I have worked with housing. You guys have been great. Survival recovery has been great. I use them frequently with individuals who maybe have some substance abuse issues and are remaining in Washington County. The one last thing I wanted to mention is that I can having these connections in the community. The individual, so the people that they are working with in the community, for example, survival recovery, I'll get a phone call and they'll say, "Hey, so I was doing really well. You wouldn't believe how much he just blossomed, and he's doing that." So that's why it's so rewarding for me, because I know that my efforts are not in vain. And when this past Saturday, I went to Keepers Resource Fair, and there were a couple individuals in there that were released from MCTC, and they love to share with me what it is that they're doing now. I'm really proud of them for taking the initiative and not being afraid to ask for the help. And I think that's the key. Just don't be afraid to ask for that help, because there's so much out there. So I want to thank everybody and thank all our community partners for making all this happen.
And thank you. That's an important part of the reentry piece, which is case management, right? And ensuring that people are getting the proper connection to all different types of services while they're inside the facilities. And thank you for all of your years of dedication and hard work.
Hello. I work for the Western Correctional Institute and North Branch. I can't forget that one, too. Yeah, that's right. I started this 3 years ago, so basically it was brand new, and this is my trainer and mentor here to this day. So it was something new we brought into our institutes. I remember showing up and training and then going back to my institute, and they were like, "Where are we putting you?" North Branch gave me a spot there. And it's so new, and we were like, how are we gonna start this? And I cannot believe how big it is today and how much we're doing there today. It just amazes me in less than 3 years what we've built. And every single day it just gets bigger. And I'm so impressed with like the communication we have with all the departments. I mean, recently I've got a connection now that I have with the Maryland Parole Commission that I am so thankful for. We're working together for the parole hearings and the rehear, getting services before they go for their hearing and their rehears, something that was not even thought of or done. And you can't skip them, just because they don't have a release date. I'm like, how can we put this all together for reentry? And I am so happy to be doing that, and doing that at NBCI and WCI now. And I brought with me today an entire stack that, see how big it is, of guys I've helped with the Maryland Parole, connection that we've had. And it's it just amazes me. And when I get to see them and I have an interview and they're like, "You're going to help me?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm going to help you." They're just in awe. Really? It's just, and I get to see them a couple, and they're like, "Wow, you really helped me," when they're hearing, and the commissioner's like, "Have all of this? Have all of your things put together?" That's so important, is to have the tools. Someone called it a toolbox. They're filling their toolbox, and they have all their tools in their toolbox. That's a really good analogy, because that's how I tell them. You put all of this together, and whether you're leaving or whether you're going to a parole hearing, you have all these things together. That's going to be the success part of it. That's where the resources, and that's where all of us come in, and we help each other into making someone into a successful lifestyle. We're giving them a second chance. And I worked in my community for 26 years doing taxes for free, because I love doing taxes. I did 26 years of it. No. In all honesty, did it because our community needed the help, and I knew how to do taxes. Unfortunately, I grew to it. But anyway, it was a program that I got linked up with other programs in my community, and I learned that I love working in my community because it's where I live, and it's important to me to not only make it a safe place for me and my family, but to make it a place where we can all enjoy being. And that is something that we all put together for all these individuals. We put together, and no matter what community they're going back to, you're a part of that, And so, not in my Allegheny County, I'm a part of all the other counties now too. I kind of like that, being a part of the picture. But I go and I do a community day, in my community, and the smiling faces that, whether they're homeless, no matter what their situation is, they come into that place and they smile, and eat together. And it's that smile. They're still not losing it because there's people in that room helping them, putting that smile on their face. And that warms my heart. I don't know about the rest of you. And it also does that at the Department of Corrections. I always tell them when I sit down with them, the first thing I say is, it doesn't matter why you're here. Because it doesn't. We're going from this. What do you need help with? What do you want? What are your interests when you leave? That's where we're going. We're forward, not backward. So, and I just feel like our team is a pretty amazing team. We're a small but mighty team. Right there, Ellen. Love that. I say it all the time. But thank you, everybody, and for all you do in here. You have no idea the impact as one person that you have in the entire state of Maryland and beyond, because some of ours, go to other states and stuff. But yeah, thank everybody. Appreciate you guys very much.
Bonnie, thank you, and you're absolutely right. Your facility, I didn't forget. Counted to my head, my heart, but we also have North Branch as well, right? So at the end of the day, when we think about this work, it's really all hands on deck. Good number of facilities and a good number of people that need to be served and supported. So I thank you, Deani, for your hard work and dedication to the department. Next, I have Malin Camphor.
Good morning. As she said, my name is Malin Camphor. I'm the Reentry Coordinator, Washington County Detention Center. I've been to work for about almost 10 years. When I first started, prior to starting the job, I was in sales. I had this feeling inside of me that I got to do something different that matters. If you're a salesperson, that doesn't mean your job doesn't matter. Just for me, I needed to do something different. And so the Spirit led me to take this reentry job. And when I went home and I showed my wife the ad for the job, she looked at me like, "Are you crazy? Like, do you know what you're going to make doing that job?" But when you allow the Spirit to take you where the Spirit needs you to be, money's not the issue. And so certainly today, money's not my issue. Right. And that is, so I do this job because I feel I'm led by the Spirit to do it. And I don't make hope, I only allow for it to present itself as it should. I can't make a seed grow, I can only plant it. I'll let God do the rest. And so I started the job. Somebody called me up and they said, I don't know if you know this person, but they came to my office and they said they're doing this reentry, and I don't know if they're real or not, but you might want to check them out. So I went to the Hill, and there was Bill Gertner. For about 3 or 4 years, Bill and I was walking all around Hagerstown. Now, he'll say that I was leading him, but he was leading me. Bill to this day is a mentor of mine. And so we went all around. I can only imagine what that would have looked like. It was like 2 of us walking all through town, all through Maryland, going place to place, chasing this reentry thing. The only thing that's required to do the job really is that you care. There's no more than that, right? You have home, you have school, you have church, and you have jail. And those 4 components make up your community. And whether you know it or not, it doesn't matter whether you participate in reentry, you're a part of reentry because it impacts you. Most people sitting here don't even know where 500 Maryland Parkway is, but it has a huge impact on you. Those 3 prisons out there do not fund themselves. And if you look at the cost of incarceration, and then you ask who pays that, well, it's not that guy with the big hat and the long beard. It's you. It's us. We fund that. We have a vested interest, not only from a monetary state, but from a spiritual state. And I'm not talking about, it doesn't matter whether you're religious or not, I'm talking about your spirit. Your spirit. It impacts all of us. It impacts all of us. The guy sits down in front of me and tells me that, Mr. Canfor, I was stealing $400 or $500 worth of meat a day at Walmart. So Walmart is only too happy to oblige you to say, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We'll write that off. To who? Who they writing that off to? They're writing it off to you. You and me are paying that. Every one of us. Every one of us pays for it, regardless of what we think. We are paying for it. When I'm sitting next to, when I have a sex offender sitting in front of me, nobody likes that. Nobody wants to look at their foul you do. But try not having him or her. Try not. See what happens. See what happens when they go home. You think they're okay? You think it's fine? Just because you don't see them doesn't mean they're not there. They have a huge impact on our community. Every one of us has a huge impact on our community. Every single one of us sitting in the room has a role to play in reentry. We're all a part of it because it all impacts every single one of us. When you look at the cost of incarceration versus the cost of education, and you look at the return on your investment, and you tell me what you come up with. You tell me what you come up with. When I took my daughter to school and I seen what the bill looked like, I said, ooh, wow. But you see what the bill looks like for incarceration, and you see if there's not a strong reentry team behind it, see what happens. So I am also proud to do the work, also proud to do what I do. People ask me all the time, do you like that? I love it. I love what I do. I love being inspired because it's not me going to work giving somebody something. I receive hope when I go to work. I receive hope from a man or a woman that sits in front of me and they want to try. Most people want to at least try. Whether they make it or not, it doesn't matter. In this game, everybody asks you, what's your stats like? Well, it's not about 80%. It's not about 90%. It's about the one. That one person may have 5 kids. Well, what if they get it right? How many people did you impact then?
Come on.
How many people did you impact then? How many people then? So we started off with a little small program. I'm the only reentry coordinator at the detention center, but I'm not the only person. Because I'm not that I'm not that do all that work myself. I'm not that person. I soonly realize I'm not that stupid. I'm not that stupid. I might be a little dumb, but I ain't that stupid. To realize I can't do all this work by myself. So it relies on community partnerships. It relies on community partnerships. I'm proud to say that I am a gatekeeper too. And Gatekeepers is a strong partnership. But we also have a day reporting center that we could not make it without a strong piece of our reentry program. A strong piece because not only does it provide substance abuse recovery, also partners with law enforcement itself. And when we have law enforcement that cares about the return of our people, what does it look like? We're not just putting handcuffs on them, but they're putting hope on them. What does that look like? What does that look like? That's much shinier than the bracelets on their wrist, but that hope that they put in their heart can come to their kids. Now they see an officer that run because they might just think this guy might just be willing to help me. That's the Day Reporting Center does that. Strong. So it's not just us. It's not just me. It's us, I should say. It's us that makes it happen. It's us that makes it happen. Thank you.
Yes. Woo. Nice try.
Test.
Turn it off.
So Malin, thank you for that passionate testimony. And, you know, just a couple of things we're going to hear from law enforcement on this panel this morning. So thank you for tying that in. And then also, too, if you take notes, we're talking about this inside-out approach, right? And we're talking about a holistic approach. We have federal partners here, our state, our local. And this is how we create a holistic approach to reentry and reintegration. You know, and Josh, all these folks here on the panel have a very special place to me. Josh in particular, because I remember when I first came to FCI Cumberland, when I first got started in this work, I had a little bit of an anxiety attack. Josh didn't know, but it was happening inside of here. Because I could see the men wearing their beige uniform, if you will, right? And it reminded me of an image that I had gotten in the mail years ago when I was a teenager. And it was a picture of my father that he had sent to me when he was in federal incarceration. So to be able to do this work, fast forward many years later, you know, is a testimony of what can happen when there's support and love even for the children of those that are incarcerated. So with that being said, I again commend each person here on this panel and those of you here for being a part of the change. So next I want to hand it over to Keith Royce.
Let's see if this, oh, it does work. How about that? Okay. Hi, I'm Keith Royce. Bill kind of introduced me earlier. He and I met in 2010 to 2012 when we were both locked up at MTC there in Baltimore. Fascinating experience, certainly one that was not on my life plan. God had some different ideas and gave me that opportunity to kind of get recentered, refocused, and start actually working for him. And he brought Bill into my life, and it's been fantastic. Bill has been such a mentor and a friend, and helping me figure out what reentry is all about, and helping reentry come to life here in Washington County. And it's been said along, it's not a one-man show. It's a team sport. And I look around the room, and I can see lots of you are part of this team already. From Jack over there in the corner, from Conservative and Lara, the HR, to Randy with GoCap, who's been helping us get some funding, to the Assistant Secretary who was sitting over there somewhere. There he is. And Ellen. Wow, we have so many fantastic partners working on this issue that I had never heard of really prior to 2010, but now I'm living it, and it's real, and it's people, not just numbers on a sheet. It's not the $40,000 a year that it takes to incarcerate somebody. It's people, and some of you people here, you know, how many have been incarcerated? You know what I'm talking about. This is people that are involved in this, people that have learned, that Bill has learned. We go in and teach our classes. and you just spend an hour with them and you look in their eyes and you listen to them and you give them hope and you give them resources, it changes the trajectory of their life. And it gives them hope. It gives them an alternative to coming back home here and, okay, I go back to my old neighborhood and do my old dirt, and yeah, I may go back and see Malin again. No, we want them to stay home and stay home for good and become productive citizens here in the community. Something in what we teach through our Business of Living program, 4 components: occupational, educational, personal, and spiritual, combined with the resources for the goals that you set in those areas, works. County from, depending on who you talk to, 19, 40, 60%. Folks active in the Gatekeepers program, way less than 10, or less. So something is working when you take time to invest in the person and actually look at the person and actually care about the person and breathe some life and some hope and some love into them. It doesn't take rocket science. It just takes a compassionate heart and a willingness to help somebody else. That's what Gatekeepers has been doing for 13 years now and will continue to do with all of you, with the partnerships that are in this room and those that couldn't make it here. So I thank all of you for being a part of this reentry team here, and I just look forward to the future and keeping more guys and gals home for good.
Keith, thank you for your heartfelt words, and again, just so very vulnerable and sharing with us a little bit of your story and now work and experience. And next, I'd like to hand over the mic, if you will, to Officer Robert Horn with the Annapolis Police Department.
Good morning. Good morning. Good to be here. I'm with the Annapolis Police Department. I've been in law enforcement now for 30 years. 26 of those years with the Baltimore City Police Department. I'm retired from Baltimore City Police Department. Now I run the reentry program for the Annapolis City Police Department under the leadership of Chief Edward Jackson. So I've been with the Annapolis Police Department now for 4 years. But just a little bit about how reentry started in law enforcement. Back in 2005, Commissioner Leonard Ham, he was the commissioner at that time, he wanted to come up with a social program that would address the issues within some of our troubled neighborhoods. He wanted to take a social, holistic approach to deal with the issues: mental health, poverty, drug addiction. He saw that these were social issues that weren't arrestable offenses. He wanted to bring in resources, different programs, diversion, and he called this program Out the Game. And what he did was he selected a handful of officers that he knew had those kinds of relationships in the community, take this program into these neighborhoods. And so under Colonel Rick Height and my good friend, the Assistant Secretary, Mr. Brooks, he was very instrumental in helping us. At that time, he was at the mayor's office. He was very instrumental in helping us to put this diversion program together back in 2005, just giving you a little bit of history, how the entry started in law enforcement. And so we partnership with the community. We partnership with employers. We partnership with vocational training programs. We partnership with transitional housing and the Department of Public Safety and Corrections and parole and probation, bringing all of these different agencies and organizations together, because back in 2005, it was really, police were just mass arrests. You remember back in those days, right? Mass incarceration, zero tolerance, and it didn't work. And so this approach, this social approach, that seed was planted by then Leonard Ham. We were able to launch this program with all of the partnerships, and some of our partners are here today. We're able to partner with these different agencies and organizations, and the Baltimore Police Department would be the router to connect the community to these different services. And then again, it started as a diversion, 18 to 24, the most risk population. Let's get them into the services, start working with the court system. This started in 05. Fast forward to 2015 when Lynn came on board, and she was hired as the Reentry program manager and youth services back in 2015. And myself and Lynn, we partnered to expand the Reentry, and then started going behind the walls. So we started going inside the different correctional facilities, pretrial, doing different programs behind the walls. So we added the Reentry component along with diversion. We partnered with the U.S. Attorney's Office in Maryland, the diversion programs. And within that time period, we helped thousands of men and women to connect to different trade programs, employment, building those relationships, right? Because, you know, the police, unfortunately, have been vilified because of a lot of the media, because of bad decisions that some of us make, and not all of us are bad people. And so fast forward to now, 2020, I retired after 26 years of serving in the Baltimore City Police Department. And so Chief Ed Jackson, who became the chief of police in Annapolis, saw the success of this program. And so he offered me a job, come to Annapolis City, build out that program because he saw the need. Anybody from Annapolis? Okay. So he saw the need to have this program in Annapolis City. There are about 7 or 8 low-income communities, and he wanted to address those social problems. And so he retired, made me the reentry specialist for the Annapolis Police Department. All of those partners that we partnered with agreed that they would bring those services to Annapolis because Annapolis is not as industrial as Baltimore. We don't have a lot of those services that we had in Baltimore. So I told the chief, hey, I need transportation. This is a big barrier. We hired a civilian from Annapolis City, Annapolitan, hired him, and he's our transport for Annapolis residents. So our partnerships consist of University of Maryland Medical Center. They have a job training program. We're partnered with NCIA, which is a vocational training facility that offers training CDLs, heating and air conditioning, and automotive. We're partnered with Civic. We're partnered with Anne Arundel County Workforce, Turnaround Thursday, which is in Annapolis, Turnaround Tuesday, a whole host of other employers. We're partnered with public parole and probation, as well as home detention. So we put all of these partners together in Annapolis City. We went into the different neighborhoods and communities, same model. In 4 years, we've graduated 8 classes from these different communities in the different trade programs, CDLs, the heating, air conditioning, automotive. Some of our participants are now gainfully employed. We work close with case management at Jessup Correctional Institution, so we go behind walls. We work with individuals who are about 6 to 18 months from being released, going before parole hearings, parole review. We help them with their home planning. We connect them to the services before they actually transition back into the community. We've opened up the Annapolis Police Department to parole and probation, where they bring their most at-risk offenders to report to the Annapolis Police Department the first Thursday of every month. When these individuals arrive, we have all of our partners there. We have employers there. We have the Anne Arundel County Community College there. We have our mental health partners there. We have just about every partner sitting in the Annapolis Police Department. It's almost like a resource fair for our individuals who are on parole and probation in Annapolis and Anne Arundel County. So our police department is a one-stop shop. I only know of Annapolis Police. I mean, it could be some others, but if you come to Annapolis Police Department, not only can you come to turn yourself in for a warrant or get your repair warning order signed. You can come in and get housing. You can come and get vocational training. You can come to the police department to find a job. You could come to the police department to get mental health. So it's a one-stop shop. And so I think every time I talk to Commissioner Ham, he planted that seed 20 years ago. And so this is what we in the Annapolis Police Department are doing. And I can tell you so many more stories, but limited on time. Thank you. I thank you very much. And I just want to shout out Antoine. He's one of our partners. I want to shout out Healthy Lives sitting back. I think I saw Dr. Snowden and her team. Dr. Snowden, yep. These are just a few of our partners that we're partnered with. And we can't do this by ourselves. The police department can't do it by ourselves. And so, you know, it's a team effort. So thank you.
Thank you, Officer Horn. And the tie-in with the story that Rob just shared is that he travels all over the state, including Western Maryland, to work with individuals and help prepare them to come home. He's humble, so very, very humble. And so whether it's Eastern Shore, whether it's Western Maryland, Baltimore, he's there for our community. And so there are no barriers to this work from the law enforcement standpoint. And you know, the part to forge with the Division of Parole and Probation. You know, we have our leaders here, the division here today. And so, you know, they're waiting. And, you know, you'll hear more from Parole and Probation. They are also a critical part of reentry at DPSCS. In fact, they're integral, not just important, integral, because people are coming home and they're still on supervision. They need reentry supports. And so instead of just violating folks, which normally has been the case nationally, you know, the department has changed that over the last few years. And so agents are actually reentry specialists on the outside, in the community, on the other side of those walls. And you'll hear more from them today. And then now, last but not least, Mayor Martinez.
So good morning again. I feel like I've already shared how I got into reentry work, but I just from my position as the mayor of the city of Hagerstown and working very closely with my police department on public safety, just share a few things. First of all, when I got sworn into mayor, the front page of paper said from foster care to mayor. And I think that it's important that folks understand that myself and my daughter, my oldest daughter, were both wards of this when she was born. And when she was about 5 years old, she said she wanted to be a police officer. When I was 5 years old, I remember saying I wanted to be a teacher and a poet and make sure that everyone knew my voice, right? And so when my daughter said she wanted to be a police officer at 5 years old, knowing that she was, you know, come out of the foster care system at the time, was staying with my mom, already had, I think, almost 3 children by that time, it seemed impossible. It seemed impossible that she'd be able to be a police officer because in Washington County, there were no police that looked like her. There were no police, there were no black women, there was probably 2 officers that were of color. And so it was very difficult for her to be able to see herself. But fast forward, now my daughter works for the state. She actually works at the juvenile facility out on Roxbury Road. How did we get here? We got here because one of the first things that I had to do was stop blaming what happened to me and stop blaming a system on why I was where I was and me and my children were where we were. When Herbie was talking about, Malin was talking about using nicknames up here. What happens when you're from Hagerstown? He was talking about the spirit. It was, I wouldn't have known. I wouldn't have known who I was. I wouldn't have known what my family had already done here if I wouldn't have stopped blaming everything and start looking at conflict differently. And I didn't end up in conflict resolution because I was looking for the job. I ended up in conflict resolution because I was on the street and in the Jonathan Street community attempting to stop crime. Attempting to stop crime because when I would call the mayor's office or call, someone that was higher up, they would say, it takes a whole community. And so here I am now, the mayor of the city, where we've grown more than we have in 50 years. A second woman mayor, first black mayor. And a lot of the blame comes towards this current administration. And I have to tell you that it takes a very long time in the condition that we are in. I was trained about 10 years ago in Dallas, Texas, by a Chicago City police officer for restorative practices and restorative justice. And I was trained to help heal and bring kids back into the community, which was their classroom, by having them tell their story. And so I think the history of who we are in Western Maryland, what we need to do better is start allowing people to share their story. A lot of people, as soon as I start talking, get very antsy. They get very antsy because sometimes I've listened to them already 10 minutes. And so now that I've listened for a very long time, it's like it should be coming to a close. But if you don't allow someone to tell their story, you'll misunderstand. And what was happening was I was misunderstanding my mom. I had never asked my mom what happened to you. I had never asked my mom, what did it feel like when the police kicked in the door and you went to jail and your kids went back into the system? Kid being me. I was her only child for 10 years. Her next child she had is 10 years younger than me. And then there's 4 more siblings. And so I never asked her that. But had I asked her that, my mom would have shared some very important things with me. She would have shared that she was raised right. She was raised by a mom and a dad. She was the baby. She was always around. She had 8 brothers, and so she was very protected and very guarded. But she would also share each time that she got arrested, she also got arrested by someone who handled her well. I never heard that. Every time that I seen what was happening, it was they were taking my mom away, or there was. And so I developed in my mind this thing for government and for police, and it wasn't a real affliction. I didn't need anyone talking for me or speaking for me anymore. By the time I had 5 kids and 4 of them girls and 1 a son, I needed to know how to correctly advocate for them in my hometown, in my community where I've gone to school, where I needed to be able to do that. And so I'm going to share some things with you really quickly. The first thing that you have to do is abandon the blame. You have to abandon the blame. And I did that. I no longer wanted to blame the city of Hagerstown. I hated it, but I loved it, right? I mean, literally, that was my thing. Hagerstown's good ground. I love Hagerstown. I love Hagerstown. Started seeing it. And as I'm saying it, I'm starting to really understand that home it's ground. I mean, the symbol was wheat. The symbol was wheat. At one point in time, we were producing wheat to be able to take care of us as an economy. At another point in time, there was enough people going into jail and prison in order to take care of the economy. And so what can the city of Hagerstown be now? Stop blaming. In the story, blame seems very clear. We get caught in blame's web, and I believe that's exactly where a lot of us are right now, that we are caught in this thing of it's their fault, it's this department's fault, it's this person's fault. Blame the mayor. Please, somebody call the mayor. It's definitely the mayor's fault. We're in this whole blame, and what's happening is nothing is getting addressed. The systems that are in place that are dysfunctional by design, we think we take this person out, this new person in, and boom, we've now fixed it. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Another thing, blame is about judgment and looks backwards. In order to move forward, we have to figure out how can we not be blaming and be the part of the solution. A contribution is about understanding and looking forward. What kind of contribution are you making in Western Maryland, in Hagerstown, in Reentry? What contribution are you making to homelessness or to mental health? Because that's how you move forward. That's the only way we can move young people forward. I think about it, if I was still sitting somewhere blaming the city of Hagerstown, my daughter wouldn't be working for the prison.
other daughters wouldn't be thriving and doing well. I have 9 grandchildren right now. None of them would even begin to understand what it meant to serve your community, to show up in humility. Even if someone hurt your feelings, go back, because that's the spirit of reconciliation. The only way we become healthy and whole as a community is by reconciling, restoring, and then revitalizing.
Thank you so much, Mayor Martinez, and I think you really summed up what this panel is about, the spirit of this panel. So with that being said, please give all of our wonderful panelists a round of applause. Thank you for your work, your heart, your dedication. And now what we're going to do is transition into let's get a show of hands. How many of you want a 15-minute break? How many of you want a 10-minute break? How many of you want no break? Okay, all right. So let's go ahead and do a 10-minute break for the sake of time. You know, please grab some snacks, eat your snacks out there. You can bring your water in here, and we'll reconvene in 10 minutes. Thank you. Okay, if we could all get in our seats, we're going to get started with the next panel. So if I could have our panelists for employment opportunities for former incarcerated persons, if you could please make your way to the stage. And if you could please make your way to the stage. Okay, if we can all get into our seats, and those on the employment opportunity for formerly incarcerated, if you come to the stage, that would be wonderful.
I haven't seen him. Oh, okay. Oh, all right, good. Hey, how are you? What should I do?
We're going to do a photo op, so once he gets on stage, kind of down real quick, we're going to do a photo op. Okay. Okay, and while everyone comes back to their seats and finishes their snacks, I just want to make special mention of our sponsors and supporters for today. So a special thank you to Centurion Health, to Gatekeepers, to Survival Recovery, and to Operation Second Chance for sponsoring, supporting the event today. Thank you so much to all of you. And we know that folks are coming back into the room. So now, with that being said, I'm going to hand over our program to Janet Lane, who is the manager of Correctional Enterprises, Reentry Services, and the CARES program at DPS-CS. If everyone could please welcome Janet.
Thank you, Lynn. Hi, everybody. I'm going to do a slightly different format before I introduce my amazing panel. I think everybody who works in public safety and in the reentry field knows that we absolutely cannot operate in a silo, as Lynn said. We are ever grateful for our partners in public safety, our transitional specialists, our case managers, parole and probation agents. I'd like to give a shout out to Prepare, the Pivot program, Dawn Cobb, and Return, and many countless others, Gatekeepers, of course. But I can't tell you how many people I work with on a day-to-day basis. But employers, of course, sort of the goalpost, shall we say, for MCE. So how many of you know what Correctional Industries is? Yay, we got a couple. So Maryland Correctional Enterprises is a correctional industries agency for the Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services. So we're kind of an oddball agency, but just so you know, every state in the union has correctional industries now. So we are under the auspices of the Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services, but we are a self-sustained agency. We make and manufacture many products. We have 26 shops in 11 DOC facilities, and we have a training program for state incarcerated individuals. Our goal is to provide soft and hard skills with the institution. We do make products we can only sell to nonprofits or other state agencies. We offer training for both men and women, soft skills, hard skills. The only criteria to work in an MCE shop is that you have to have a minimum of an ED, no behavioral infractions within the past 6 months. We take all sentences with no limitations. We take all skill levels, and we always find something we can enhance and train you on. Right now, we have over 1,100 people, men and women, participating in our shops. We offer hundreds of certifications. We also partner with the Department of Labor to have a joint skills training program. Shop managers are really the foundation of our reentry program. If you've ever been to one of our shops, action of our men and women shop managers who mentor, guide, and actually counsel our participants every single day. We are really proud of our shop managers, and I have hundreds of people who call me after release and tell me how grateful they are for the help and guidance they received. We support, and so as part of our reentry program, we provide a two-pronged approach. The first approach is that all MCE participants, whether you're currently in one of our shops or you were in one of our shops and you left in good standing, will receive pre- and post-reentry support. That comes in the form of help, guidance, suggestions for home plans, working with family members. I also provide a form for folks to fill out prior to their release. Based on what they read on the form, it's just between them and me. I will send them a letter that answers their particular requests and their needs, and they have contact information after they get out. I get texts, I get pictures of cars, I get pictures of houses, I get wedding invitations, I get all kinds of our participants. We're constantly seeking to improve our program. Under the general umbrella of knowledge is power, we're constantly adding workshops and certified programs. Hagerstown Community College is in process right now with us. We already provide welding training, but through Hagerstown, and hopefully when they get a final approval, we will have a certified welding program up here in Hagerstown, which we're hoping to mimic in ECI. We have these shops throughout the state through Warwick Community College. So we work with every single state agency. We work with employers. I frequently tour employers. And we also offer something called the PI program, or Prison Industry Enhancement Certification Program. That is a federal program that comes out of the Bureau of Justice Assistance. This program works with an employer to provide training in one of our MCE shops. We provide the supervision. The participants who are in that training program earn a pay stub. They are paid wages, out of which comes room and board, any court-ordered restitution, and taxes. MCE itself provides some discretionary funds. We are actually third highest payer in the nation at this time. In addition to that, some sentences are eligible to receive some time off their sentence for time spent with MCE. All right, that's about us, me, and my mission, which is Maryland Correctional Enterprises. And I'd like to start introductions for our fabulous panel. First, I would like to introduce to you Major Tiffany Boone. She is the Work Release Program Manager for DPSCS. I understand you oversee the landscape crews. How are you able to assist people in securing post-release employment in that field?
Good morning, everyone. Major Tiffany Boone. First, I would like to say I've been a correctional officer for 16 years now. And just one correction, I oversee work release. I oversee public safety work, which is a restorative justice program where we take incarcerated individuals and we send them into the community while they're still behind the wall to prepare them for going out with employment services. So the easiest way I can explain to you right now is there are crews that you all see daily, weekly, that are out cleaning your highways. But that is not all that they do. We are now utilizing them with cemetery restoration, using the programs that we have in the facility through the Department of Labor. We carefully screen based on the needs of the employer. So if there's a hiring agency that needs someone for HVAC, construction, plumbing, we are able to specifically screen our population and send them out for work. And the issue that we're seeing right now is that many employers will use them while they're incarcerated, but we encourage to also keep that employment going post-release. I'm very blunt with many of our partners in explaining that whether you like it or not, coming back to your community. So why not have a hand in what their reentry looks like? If you don't want them to come back to committing crime, if you want to decrease recidivism in your county, it is best that you support them now, help them connect with those resources while they are still in our custody, to ensure that they have the best return to their community.
I'd next like to introduce to you Sonia Young. Sonia is the Deputy Director of Division of Pretrial Detention Services for Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. My name is Sonia Young. Not only am I the Deputy Director of Reentry for Pretrial, I just recently been assigned duties of Veteran Liaison for the Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services. I have 35 years in law enforcement, 8 years with the military, and I did 25 years at Baltimore City Police, and then I came here to the Division of Public Safety and Correctional Services. My outside organizations include Delta Sigma Theta and the American Legion. I am dedicated to public service. I like to say I started my public service when I was 15, marching in the marching band. And I've always given service to the community. I would like to say that I was pre-entry. And when I say that I was pre-entry, I say that people like yourselves and the former mayor, Don Schaefer, believed in me. I come from a Sandtown community, and they took an interest in me. And I appreciate that. I was afforded the opportunity to attend Roland Park Country School, which was the all private school. I then went to Western High School, and I breathed and lived community service. And I feel that if you don't invest in your community, you're not going to get great results. With that being said, I was appointed to this position, and I love it. So I'm working with finding partners to do workforce development and training, finding partners who will offer men and women housing. I'm finding partners who will offer our men and women health services. You know, a lot of people say a lot of negative things about the police department and corrections, but we work hard. We work hard to serve our community, and we also ensure the safety of our citizens. Collectively, both the Baltimore City Police Department and the correctional officers do a lot of work to prepare the men and women for reentry. So I'd like to thank you for having us here today, and we at the Department of Public Safety and Correctional Service have a vested interest in the men and women that are coming back to the community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'd next like to introduce to you Mr. Salvatore Moriello. He's an agent at the Division of Parole and Probation Department.
Good morning, everyone. Salvatore Moriello. I'm a senior agent with the Division of Parole and Probation. I run a pretty diverse caseload for the state of Maryland. I have half a domestic violence caseload, adult drug court of Washington County, and the day reporting center here that is located at the detention center here in Washington County. As everyone knows, upon release, offenders are told to report immediately to the Division of Parole and Probation. They're expected to meet with their agent, do an initial interview, go over the topics of their court order or their mandated parole order. I'd be lying to you today if I told you that employment was a high priority of mine right off the bat, because it isn't. I have criminologic needs that need to be met. I have substance abuse issues, mental health issues that need to be addressed so that someone can be successful out in the workforce. Once they report, you tell them all their course, report is directed, work or attend school regularly. You have to successfully complete substance abuse treatment, mental health treatment, the abuser's intervention program, and it goes on. It can be extremely overwhelming to those offenders. I spend most of my time telling people that I'm a man of many hats. I'm a caseworker, I'm the law, I'm a confidant, I'm a friend. However you want to look at it, you play many roles with this position. And I tell all my offenders right off the bat that I'm not going to set them up to fail. I'm going to put them on a path of success. And I'm going to help them navigate that path along the way. But at the end of the day, ultimately, it's up to them. Do they want it? Do they want to stay on that path? When they start doing those things, attending successfully complete substance abuse treatment, the mental health programs, that's the time when you can start to enforce the other issues. Housing could come well before that. But once they're on that path and they're doing well is when you start enforcing what can we do to get you a job, to help support yourself and your family. When I was up in Chicago on a conference back in September 2022, I came across this booth that was represented by Honest Jobs. Has anybody heard of Honest Jobs? If you Google Honest Jobs, Honest Jobs will give you a list of felon-friendly jobs throughout the United States and specifically designed to be within your community. I use that as a tool for my offenders to help them find positions, to start them out, whether it's with a conservative or a tractor supply or AT&T. Those are a few of our community members that I know that the reporting center and myself have formed and established relationships with to find employment for our individuals in the community.
Thank you so much.
Thank
You're doing great, all of you. Our next speaker is Mr. Damon Myers. He's the program manager for Western Maryland Consortium. The Western Maryland Consortium website looks very impressive, to say the least. Please tell us how your staff can assist those returning to the community from incarceration.
Can you hear me? All right. So we are Western Maryland Consortium. Some of you all probably don't even know how to pronounce the name because consortium, what is it, you know? So we are the consortiums, how I like to pronounce it. But what we do is we take grants from the state and the government, and those grants are all free to all the individuals that come through our door. There is no cost of anything except for some time and documentation, and it is the Workforce Innovative and Opportunity Act, better known as WIO. So what we do is we take people that want to re-enter the workforce or enter into the workforce that face barriers. So there's barriers to be, you know, a mental health barrier. It could be, you know, single parent. It could be, and you know, you're incarcerated. You haven't worked. You're underemployed. You're not working. You're drawing UI. You have a record. You haven't worked in 27 weeks. We look at a bunch of different barriers for people for employment. One of the biggest barriers we look at is low income. That is the biggest one we look at. If you're over income, unfortunately, we can't help you, but there are some things that we can do for you. Once again, everything we do is free. The core services is what we can offer to pretty much anybody that walks through the door. We have a resume writer and reviewer, so we can write a resume pretty much from scratch. If you don't have a resume or if you have one that you just want us to look over, we're more than happy to do that. We also have a computer lab. Some people don't have computers or access to internet. You're more than welcome to come in and use it. If anybody ever tried to do a resume or a job application on a phone, you enlarge it right in what to do. It takes you to pages you've never been before, and you minimize it, and it takes you to some other page, not back where you were. Come in and use the computer lab. We also have mock interviewing. So if it's been a while, if you haven't had an interview, you know, make an appointment. We're more than happy to do that with you. Once again, it is free. To reiterate, it's free. A lot of people do. It's free because of all the services that we offer. It's free. Just come in, make an appointment. We also offer, I don't want to forget anything here, an interest profiler. So if you come into my office, one of the first questions I'm going to ask you is, what do you want to do when you grow up? Some people have no clue. I don't know what I want to do. What do you think I should do? I don't know, become the next Tom Brady or the NFL, you know, those things. Let's go to the computer lab and take an interest profiler and see what avenues might interest you to a career path. We want full-time employment, we want benefits, we want careers. We kind of have a saying in our office, anybody can go to McDonald's and work the window. If that's what you want to do, okay, let us write a resume for you, you can do that. But we want you to have that career. We also offer expungement services. We have a lawyer that comes once a month and offers free expungement services to our clients. Once again, that is a barrier. We want a bunch of barriers in the beginning, and we want to at the end. Like I said, we're grant funded. The grant funded training that we offer is in high demand in our county. Examples are CDL, CNA, dental assistant, things like that. That's just a small example of what we can do. We partner with HCC. They're absolutely wonderful to deal with their CDL program. We have people in and out of that program all the time that are very successful at what they do. We also offer the GED and NED program. So if you're looking for, you know, your education, you have come to the right spot. We partner with HCC, like I said, but we are one of 2 sites in Washington County that is state certified. It's us, HCC is the other one. And since July of this year, we have had 20 participants earn employment through the program. So what we do is pretty legit. Kudos to our lab instructors. You know, they're great. All our staff's great, honestly, and thank you that are here for us. We also offer on-the-job training. So if you come in and you say, hey, I don't have time to do my education, I don't have time to, you know, do a training now, only might be what you need to go through. That's for immediate employment. We could, you know, say, hey, I'm interested in an electrician. I don't really have any skills like that. We could reach out, you know, to one of our partners in business and say, hey, we got a person that's interested. Would you mind, you know, taking a shot on this person for a couple weeks? You know, the alternate goal is, but they would be hired on with that company full time, but we know that's not always the case. But at least it would give them some, you know, 6 to 8 weeks worth of, you know, experience. They could possibly go to another company. They could possibly reach out to another avenue. We also offer supported services. So once you are enrolled, these supported services can help you complete your training program or education program. And they can be anything from textbooks. We could, you know, assist testing. If you needed steel-toed boots, we work with PIA, the aeronautical school. We come in normally last semester, you know, if they're eligible for a program, we can assist them with tools because they've been in school, they have no money, they don't have any tools, we can assist with that. We always say, if you don't ask, we're not going to know, so I can guarantee you, if you don't ask, the answer is going to be no. So please ask us. It's easy for us to, you know, write something up and say, hey, can we help out with this purchase? The services are customized to the individual. We are an individual service, not one size fits all. We get it. You know, it's what's right for me is not going to be right for the next person. Some people say, well, my sister was just there, and you don't know the whole story, obviously, because you might fall into something, a different category. Eligibility that does not guarantee enrollment. If you don't have a plan what you want to do, we're going to walk you through that process. However, it's not guaranteed that you are going to be enrolled for services. You could be on the line, but maybe you don't know what you want to do at this time. We're not going to enroll you, but we will assist. You still have access to core services, like I said before. And also, we have a saying around the success is what we do. We want everybody to be successful that walks through our door. It does nobody any good if we send somebody someplace else and don't follow up with them. We have partnerships all over the community, and we constantly build new partnerships, and we want everybody to be successful.
Thank you so much. It sounds like a wonderful agency. I'm so sorry, my list in a different order than the giant one that was behind us. My next speaker is Jack Druger, who's the program manager for trades, transportation, and IT right here at Hagerstown Community College. Welcome, Jack. We're eager to hear about these departments and how they assist with enhancing employment skills.
All right, so let me tell you about an experience a number of years ago. I was at a national workforce training conference, and start of the session, one of the speakers, who happened to be a Baltimore College president, got up and said very boldly, "We are doing God's work." And regardless of your religious persuasion, I think what she was trying to say was that community colleges have a divine responsibility to serve their area. At HCC, we have 60-plus degree programs, but we also have a state prison system. We have a detention center. We have a day reporting center. So just what we can't be in our classroom here on the campus of HCC. We have to have outreach programs, meet people where they are, and meet their needs. So we have a long history in working with the prison system, a long history in working with the day reporting center and providing job training programs. I call them career training programs. So we tell them, don't find a job, find a career. Anybody can get a job. Career is going to find you or provide you with something that is sustainable and something you can look forward to be successful. Our goal is to find funding to help support the types of programs, whether they're at the detention center or they're in the now we're running MCTC pre-release. We're running what's called Pre-CDL's Pathway to Success. It's a truck driver training program covering the theory, the federal theory for truck driver training, which is now required by the federal government. We've been running that under a rural Maryland grant, which paid 100% for the participants. We're able to bring a tractor trailer into the facility for students to walk around and climb through and see what they've been learning in class. We've helped them with their learner's permit for their commercial license. We brought in a forklift. They did forklift operator training behind the fence right there at the MCTC pre-release center. Okay? And this Friday, 7 of the 10 participants are going to graduate from the program. They're going to complete, so we're going to have a great ceremony for them. And we purchased quite a few copies of From Cell Blocks to Truck Stops, available on Amazon, written by Trey Ferguson, who is a former inmate at the Hagerstown Prison System. He's a former graduate of ATC's truck driver training program. He now owns his own company, and I found out last week that one of his employees is now teaching for us in our truck driver training program. Okay? So that's a divine circle completed.
Thank you so much. That's great. Our next speaker is Jeff Hull. He's the owner of BJ Custom Creations, which is a textile printing company. MCE loves that. Please tell us a bit more about your company and what you are seeking when you hire staff.
Absolutely. Good morning, and thank you all for having me here today. We own and operate a textile manufacturing company here in Hagerstown, right in the city industrial park of Hagerstown. And we became involved in the reentry program. It's been almost a year now, and it's been just an absolute huge win-win for both our company and also I feel the folks that have had the opportunity to come be a part of it through the reentry program. You know, if there's any other employers out there, I don't need to tell anyone, finding folks that want to work is a real challenge. You know, the labor market out there, it's hard. It's hard to find people that want to come to work. When they do come to work, they want to work. And for the folks we've had involved in the program so far, you know, that's exactly what we're getting. We're getting people that genuinely, when they come through the doors, they're eager. They're eager to be there. They're eager to learn. They're eager to meet folks. They're bringing work ethics with them. I don't ever have to worry about these folks coming to work on time because they're on time every day. If we want extra out of them, they're there for it. You know, and it's some of the little things that I see them doing here. It was just yesterday. There was a spill on the floor, and before I could get the person that would clean it up, you know, there comes a fella over and he's cleaning the area back so they can get back to work. It's just extra effort that I'm seeing out of these folks that goes a long way. Like I say, we've been in it for about a year now. Thanks to Sarah. She introduced us to the program. And have a little over 5% of our workforce is now involved, now working for us through the reentry program. And when they come into the shop, many times they're not sure exactly what they want to do. We're not sure exactly what their strengths are going to be. We typically will start them out in one of our entry-level positions on the floor somewhere. And that gives them an opportunity just to kind of get their feet wet, see where they feel may be a really good fit for them in our company. It lets our folks also see, you know, what's going to maybe be a place that they could accelerate in. And then from there, we plan B and start to put them into positions. One story in particular, we had a fellow come in. He was one of the first folks to come in. He started out, we print T-shirts. That's one of our departments. So he was working at the end of the dryer where the folks print shirts. They come down to dryer, and then he takes them and looks at them, makes sure they're accurate, counts them, puts them in a box, and preps them for shipping. And it wasn't long till I started noticing him really taking an interest to the folks actually running the presses, setting the presses up, which I'm sure most of you folks don't have any experience in printing a shirt. It literally takes years to become an experienced screen printer. And that's what he's doing now. So he's moved over. We put him on a press. We're training him. He's been on the press now for a few months. And the truth is, he's already surpassing the goal that we set in place for folks that have been there for a year. So, you know, it's just been a real win-win for us and for, I think, the folks that have joined us through Reentry. So I'll also say on a different note, this wasn't the thing, but I operate a Christmas tree farm as well. And we've been really fortunate to have some folks from Gatekeeper up and help us with planting trees. And that is, I want them back every year. I'm telling you, the trees were planted and they were planted great. It's like each one of those little lives, you could see they're carrying as they put them in the ground. And it's really been well. So if there's any employers out there thinking maybe this is an idea for me, maybe it's not, hey, Chase Custom Creations, please look me up and come see my facility. Let me talk to you more in depth about it. So.
Thank you so much. That is a great endorsement. We appreciate it. And last but certainly not least, is Ira Shepard, who is Human Resources Director for Conservit here in Hagerstown, which is the premier metal recycling center in the tri-state area. Ira's here to tell us more about their employment opportunities.
Yes, thank you. And every Saturday when I attend Gatekeepers, just in case people have never heard the name Lara before, I give you a nice little rhyme. Lara rhymes with Sarah, Lara. And I add to that encouragement, if you're going to call an employer and ask to speak to the person who might be the decision maker, you get the job, you should probably know how to say their name. So I was giving them all the edge if they come to Conservit, but I tell them they should find out wherever we're going to interview what that person's name is and make sure they can say it correctly. That might give them a little edge for their application moving a little forward. I bring my notes up because those of you that know me know I'm a talker, and my son was helping time me. I was told 4 minutes. I got it down to 3.5, but now that I've ad-libbed, that might be out the door. So we do operate, Conservit does operate in the tri-state area. Our largest facility is here in Hagerstown. We have about 80 employees in Hagerstown, about a dozen over in Martinsburg, West Virginia, where that is what we call a feeder yard. They're collecting scrap metal as well as selling car parts. You can check them out online too if you need a new speaker for your car. You can get from our location in Martinsburg. And then we have a smaller location, which is also a feeder yard in Pennsylvania as well. This is our 50th anniversary. We didn't know how long we've been in our community here at 50 years. My boss, Jack, is with me. It was Jack's dad, Sid, that actually started the company 50 years ago. And when he started, one of the things he noticed was his neighbors was the Department of Correction, and thought that might be a nice partnership to start finding labor. And that was before my work experience time. I was still in school somewhere. But when I came to Conservit 7 years ago, you know, they started telling me about, you know, we used to have this really strong partnership, and Lara, we'd really like you to do that. I do consider myself a resource for the humans. It doesn't matter whether you're behind walls or outside of walls. I started thinking, well, how can this work? And Jack said, you know, every couple of weeks he'd be like, where are we on this? And I'm like, well, COVID hit, and nobody can come out, so it's not really an avenue for us yet. As soon as the barrier started breaking down, I met Virginia Moser, formerly Virginia Collins, now Virginia Moser. And I had worked with her a little bit with home detention people, and I said, well, if you're really in charge, I mean, are you my go-to person? Because if I'm telling the manager an employee's going to be here, that employee's got to be here, because you're the person I'm calling if they're not. And she said, no, it's me. And I couldn't have asked for a better partner in making this initiative proof of the way people can show up and give it their all, like Jeff is describing, because she's been with us every step of the way for the last 2 years. And then met Bill over at Gatekeepers. And every Saturday, if there are hiring managers or employers in the room, I don't have jobs. And she's probably running low too. If you want to hire people, show up. We'll even give you breakfast from Roy Rogers for free. Okay? Show up and be there. People want to meet you and they want to talk to you and they want to prove themselves to you. And I know Galen mentioned that he wasn't really about the data, but as a resource for the human who answers to CEOs and trying to get an owner and CEO to listen to our initiative, I also took a meeting with Mr. Malik over at Meredith, people want to know stats, right? So here are stats. In 2 years, we went from a retention rate of 43% to 67%. Over 25% of our workforce in Hagerstown is now from us intentionally marketing our Fair Chance initiatives. I no longer have dents in my forehead from hitting them against the wall because constantly, every day, someone's walking off the line. We do have a table in the back, and two of my favorite people are back there. My boss, Jack Metzner. I want to give him a shout out. He's the reason I actually started researching this. And also one of our employees who just celebrated his 1-year anniversary with us, Mr. James Pitts. He's also a member of Gatekeepers. And James is a great story. James actually didn't start with work release on us, and I hope the employer who's with us in here, you can see him, did you, James? Because I actually recruited him away once he got out. I even saw him walking one day down the street and pulled over and said, Mr. Pitts, we still have an opening if you're interested. We started 1850. You have benefits in 90 days. And lo and behold, he came over. What a great find. He and many of his colleagues were, because they take the initiative. We teach them more. They're like little sponges up here, just absorbing what you show them. And not only did he have his annual evaluation, but he was handed more tasks, and now cross-trains doing more opportunities in the plant and got a nice increase to recognize him for doing that. So our whole goal, and the reason I made a nice little brochure I hope you take with you, is that we want you to build your career at Conservate. Not just a job. Jobs are important. Entry level, minimum wage, that's important to get you started. But we want you to stay with us. We have 7 employees now that have 7 figures in a retirement plan because they've been with us so long. So we want you to build a career. We have jobs in our maintenance department, welding and mechanics, because we have a trucking division. We have an export division. We have a rail division. All of that requires people with knowledge of safety, working safely, believing that they want to take care of their teammates there on the job, and making sure that everybody gets to go home with all the fingers and toes that they came in to work with. The other thing I want to share, people talked about partnerships. So many partnerships have made this work for me in my role, being a resource. I mean, it's one thing to just hire somebody and send them to the team to see if they can do the job. But a lot of folks, like you know, have these barriers and boundaries. And I had to think ahead, how can I fix this? I want the managers to trust these decisions. I want them believing in this opportunity. How can we knock down these barriers that people are running up against? So if they're on work release and they want to stay with us, we put ahead in a request for time off so they can take the time to immediately report to parole and probation, because I don't want to get on their bad side. And we take the time to make sure they have their transportation lined up, they have their housing, they have their food, stay at the job and show up on time if you didn't have anything in your pantry that morning, or you didn't know how you were getting to work and you misjudged the time. You thought you were all right with the pass from Gatekeepers to get on the county commuter, but it dropped off at Walmart on Strasburg Pike. That's almost 3 miles from the entrance of Conservate. If you got to be on the line at 6 a.m. when the whistle blows, you got to know how long it's going to take you, or are you allowed to take your scooter on the bus or your skateboard? So I started partnering with all the different organizations, Gatekeepers, Misty at the Consortium has been a great help. Goodwill, helping with their housing navigators. Meredith, we have an employee assistance program. A lot of our folks, while they're inside, don't have the ability or don't want to lose time at work by meeting with someone about behavioral health. I can already set them up through Zoom on an EAP program and through our EAP program to start discussing some of those things that might be barriers. Maybe they are inside because of some inability to control anger. I'll get them working on anger management before they start putting applications in for their apartments. Also, United Way, we partnered with United Way in the LIFT program to help our folks when their car breaks down. Today, the typical employee would say, oh, my car's broken down, I can't come in today. I said, oh no, I'll call my friend Jack down on line, he's got a break, he's gonna come get you and get you to work. What? Oh, I thought I could have the day off. I'll give you a LIFT code now. I'll get you in, I'll get you back home, and you can be with your car later this afternoon. The other thing, a partnership with MCTC. Thanks to Marty and Stacy, I got to go on tour next door at MCTC and see Shop Row, if I'm calling it correctly, the name, and see what those teachers are teaching their people on the inside. And then we brought them over for a tour to serve it. How can we work together to try to help them see success on the people they're educating, and where can they take that after they step outside? So I'm a big fan. If you haven't read this book, if you know a hiring manager, you can make it a nice Christmas gift. The holidays are coming. Or a Hanukkah gift, whatever you like. Untapped Talent. And I actually didn't read it till I actually was told to get involved in this. The book is exactly how it is. It talks about the loyalty of the employees and the interest in doing a good job. Lots of your Dave's Killer Bread fan, they're mentioned in here. Johns Hopkins is mentioned in here. Maybe one, you'll write a second one and put Conservative and BJ's Custom Creations in there. But thank you, everybody that's partnered to do this. Take an application with you when you leave.
Thank you all very, very much. We appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, now I'm not moderating.
So anytime you have production work going on, there's stuff behind the scenes that nobody else sees. So I'm in the back of the room doing this number, and so in any event, but thank you so much. Janet, and to the panel, appreciate you sharing your experiences and all that you do for Reentry. Now, the last panel of the day, we are going to transition into Reentry services and resources. Reentry services and resources. So those who are on this panel, if you would please come forward. Okay. And let's see, Lara. All right. Wonderful. So all of you just heard from Lara Shepard, the Director of Human Resources for Conservative Incorporated, and so she is now our moderator for this panel. And Lara, take it away.
I have to bring up my little notes, so I use the big podium like Lynn did. So today we're going to go on this panel and focus on special remarks from our folks here. A variety of things in our community. First up, we have Betty, and Betty's going to share a little bit with us. Go ahead, Betty. Oh, there, I heard it then.
Good afternoon. I'm sure you guys have your Wheaties for today. Good afternoon, everyone. Much better. My name is Betty Donovo. I am the Assistant Director of Reentry. Just promoted 2 weeks ago as the Reentry Coordinator. I'm here to talk about one of my passions, which is reentry. Ever since I was a little girl, I dreamed of wanting to be a nurse, loved the white jacket, the stethoscope, and having like medical background where my brother's a doctor, aunts, uncles, cousins are nurses, and I always wanted to help others. And I was like, okay, this is where we're going. So go to school, graduate high school, go to college, and obtain my bachelor's degrees from Bowie State University. So as I started working in hospitals, and I know I was helping others, but I didn't see the difference that I was making. One day, I sat in front of my computer, I was praying, I was like, God, please, give me a change, lead me somewhere. And what leads me to Reentry, I accidentally upload my resume in Indeed.com. And faith lead me to corrections, and I've been in Reentry since then, over 7 years. Research shows that lack of support and or proper planning for incarcerated individuals re-entering the community increases the likelihood of recidivism or relapse into addictive behaviors. Discharge planning is the process that occurs while the individual is still incarcerated, which prepares the individual for the re-entry into the community. The plan usually includes discharge date, program that they have completed while they were incarcerated, and medical records, the attempt coordinating post-release residents, mental health care providers, and other community-based services for the individuals. Now, we all know that correction is the most underserved populations. So reentry starts at the beginning incarcerations. Reentry team consists of the doctors, mental health team, medical team, social work, case managers, discharge planners, pharmacy, Health Access Maryland. All of us come collectively, put a plan in place for our incarcerated individuals. Planning consists of getting a projected release list. We got multiple release lists, whereas the district planners will meet with IIs, assess their needs, find out what they need, what their medical diagnoses are, review their medications with them, providing education and teaching, big conditions. The planners will also reach out to the doctors, ask them to order the medication, making sure the medication is delivered on time for them to get prior of being prior of being released from us going to the community. And also the resources that are being provided is based on what's available in their zip area, because every resources are different depending on where you live. And it also, not only we send them out with 30 days of medications, we also schedule a medical doctor for them in the community to continue having their medical needs being managed. We also partner with Healthcare Access Maryland. We'll meet with the individual, enroll in Medicaid assistance to cover medical appointment and so forth and so on. We also linked the individual that has HIVs to Baltimore City Health Department, the Ryan Wright grantees. We also linked the individual that has hepatitis C to the Baltimore City Health Department Surveillance Department area. Those are the big main areas where every month we will submit a report, and then that's where we get grants for these individuals with those diagnoses. We also we just initiated the overdose program. We also linked the individual to a MAT program, methadone also. We linked them to one of those clinics. Look at reentry as a puzzle. We all have a piece in the puzzle. We all come together, work collectively, and put a plan in place for the individuals. Another aspect of my job, it's very rewarding. I love what I do. When I find out someone leave the facility without medications, it got me worries a lot, because I wonder how they're going to continue with their health, what's going to happen, especially those who have mental health. So I reach out to them, assess the situation, and find out if they're willing to come back to the facility, or if I would have to meet with them in a public place halfway to make sure we deliver that medication. I would ask the doctor, so-and-so left with that medication, please order the medication. I would reach out to the pharmacy, an order is about to come, please put those medications aside, I will pick it up. I'll schedule the appointment myself, and then when I meet with them, I will review all that information with them, making sure they get everything that they need. We can't help everybody, we can't solve all of their problems. At least that would be one less thing they have to worry about. We all know they are being judged every single day. They're all human just like us. They're not perfect. They are under a lot of pressure, under a lot of stress, the shame. Our job is to make a difference, making sure that they are linked to a primary care in the community, providing them all of the resources, education, teaching, empowering them for them to make sure they understand the diagnosis, medications that they are taking, so they can make better healthy choices and better decisions. One thing I want you guys to take away from my speech, we're all here as reentry services. The goal of reentry services as a whole is to reduce recidivism. Thank you.
Thank you, Betty. As Betty said, we're all pieces of the puzzle. The next piece we have is Karen Hayes, also helps reentry from RTI.
Check, check. Okay, that's better. Thanks. My name is Karen Hayes. As she said before, I am at RCI. And I want to share with you a little bit today about inside out, reentry inside and outside the facility. So I started out as a correctional officer. And so my first thought was that I am going to uphold the mission, protect, protect, protect. And I thought that protect was to slowly give instructions. And as I came to reentry, I realized that guidance is also protection. And if I am able to speak to someone, help them with the challenges they face, I am also protecting. And transitioning from incarceration to life in the community can be stressful and challenging. It's more than avoiding going back to jail or prison. It's preparation. It's preparation for life. And as the incarcerated individual will say, as soon as I got out the door, life started happening. It's preparation for family, employment, housing, clothing, food, and everything else you may need in life, because reentry is tailored to each person. Not every person needs the same thing. And so, as they join the tapestry of their community, I like that I get to help be a part of it. I get to help from inside by asking relevant questions, by going over assessments with them, by seeing what is it exactly that they need to help them to be successful. And we introduced evidence-based practices that are tailored to their needs, such as employment opportunities. We do conflict management inside. Well, actually, we have community partners come in and take care of that. And motivational and empowerment groups, and that's just to name a few. That's how we start on the inside. But most importantly, we serve as connectors, without exception, building relationships with community partners to provide resources, increase community engagement, and social impact. And we do all of this to increase public safety and reduce recidivism. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen, and thank you for beginning reentry on the inside. Our next guest is a childhood friend of mine who I happened to run into at Gatekeepers one day after he retired from the Marine Corps, and they decided that they would hand him now the commissioner role, the Maryland 6th U.S. Congressional District Maryland Veteran Affairs Commissioner. I can remember all that. So I just private message Mike on Facebook when I need something. Tell us, Mike, what you have going on these days that you're doing with reentry.
Okay. But first, put your hand in the air if you honestly believe you've never done anything that should have landed you in prison. And if you put your hand up, you're lying. Right? So let me start by saying, so I'm a Hagerstown native. As Lara said, I joined the Marine Corps for 30 years. I'll talk about that in a minute. I now am a full-time employee of the U.S. Department a Veterans Affairs, I'm a senior policy advisor, so that the senior leaders don't lose sight of the veterans on the ground, right, and what they need. And then in my spare time, I've been appointed by the governor as a commissioner to represent Western Maryland, which I'm happy to be here to talk about. I don't want you to think, though, that I'm here just to talk about veterans, right? We go through a transition that I think is very similar, and we can share best practices with reintegration, because it's in fact what we call it as well, right? So I think I just want to cover a couple of points. When you think about, we all go through transitions, right? Like whether it's a job or whether it's a divorce, whether it's a move, all right? But I'm going to compare this transition and reentry into maybe some of the most intense, right? So coming out of the military, or athletes, right? We think of professional athletes of only being of those that make a lot of money, but there's a ton of them that don't make hardly anything. They've spent all their years training and being in athletics, and then have to transition out into the world, often with some form of traumatic brain injury or et cetera. So there are other intense fields that people are in that didn't have to make a transition. I'm going to speak to the military and how I think it relates. Okay, so I was a Marine infantry officer and special ops guy for 30 years. All right, we trained hard. We trained harder than any combat we ever saw, and we were pretty intense combat, right? So I can tell you that during that training, you become an animal, right? You are starved, you are beat, you go long times without sleep, and then you have to get a mindset where if someone threatens you, you have to act first before they do, right? Now compare that to being behind the wall in a prison, navigating that, right? Where you're in survival mode, if you will, and then you're just trying to get through day by day. So how do you penetrate that and get folks to start thinking about their re-entry very early? So that's kind of point number one that I learned in my own transition, but in hundreds and hundreds of others that I've either been in command and watch happen or been somehow involved in the program. So number one is you've got to start early. Now, what I haven't seen, I think we saw the major on the last one. We need to make sure we're training our guards in the prisons to have a mindset like that. I think many do. I think they're all great people, right? They're there for good reasons. But to share in that, preparing from the beginning, as was said, day one, like a veteran, the day you join the military, you're going to get out, right? Yet everyone waits until like the last couple months to start to prepare. It's crazy. Same with when you go to prison, unless you have a life sentence, you're going to get out one day, so why not start preparing for it? So start early. Number two is take ownership. All right, you got to take ownership. Now, is anybody here an Olympic athlete? All right, here's where I'm going with this, because I think the mayor left, and I'm going to hunt her down after this because it's just disrespectful. Tell her that I said that, right? So I had to listen through her stuff. She needed to listen through mine. So amen to what she said when she was on the panel. Stop blaming others, right? Everyone thinks their stories is the hardest. Everyone thinks they've got a monopoly on hardship. It's a hardship Olympics, and you get the medal. Grow the hell up, right? I've been through my own story, and I had to do this as well. Traumatic brain injuries, explosions, alcoholism, arrest, you name it. I've been through it while serving my country, right? And you might not see that now in me, but it took a lot to overcome that, because at one point in the middle of a dark night, I had to say, grow the hell up, right? And that's what we all need to do, and that's what we need to get in that sense of ownership with those incarcerated individuals as they get ready to come back. So I think, let me make sure, I don't want to, okay. I hope this is more than just a discussion. You know, we have learned in military transition, we are starting to call them change forums, right? Because we need real action to come out of these types of things. When we bring all these minds together, we can't just talk, pontificate, right? We philosophize, we need actual action that can come out of this. That's what Gatekeepers does. They bring people together, but we need more people to come to that, et cetera. And, you know, so we can come out with more action. And, you know, in the end, it all comes down to, you know, these are individuals returning to our communities that don't know what they've been through. We have learned in the military, a lot of the misconduct in the military is the result of some form of trauma or traumatic brain injuries, and they didn't know what was happening to them. And all of a sudden, it's too late. And we need to treat these folks with dignity and decency. So connect with me on LinkedIn to talk more, and thanks. Kevin?
Thank you, Mike. So another person that is helping survivors, and that's Kevin Shorb. And I met Kevin when he came with his little dog to actually provide transportation for one of our new hires. I had no idea he had transportation under his belt too, but he's a great resource in the community as well. Kevin, tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
Hi, everybody. I want to first say we really appreciate the invite here, and it's an honor to be part of something like this. Listening to everybody that's stepped up on this panel and everybody here, I see that everybody's linked together in some way, shape, or form, and it's a pretty cool deal. You know, my background, I'm survival recovery, and my background is normally when I introduce myself, because I'm a part of the 12-step program, it's followed by I'm an alcoholic, and I say that because a 12-step program saved my life 8 years ago. You know, prior sobriety date 1/21/17. Prior to those 8 years, I spent 27 years in and out of jails and prisons and forestry camps and programs. And needless to say, I was not a productive member of society. In my life today, a 12-step program got. I've been able to change that around and become a productive member of society. By trade, I design multifamily houses, condos, and commercial residential, but about a year and a half ago, as a pay-it-forward thing, I got the idea to start survival recovery. We provide housing for men and women who are coming out of jails, prisons, institutions, programs, treatment centers, and we take people off the streets if they fit the application process. What we are is just a 12-step-based structured living environment. What that structure looks like is waking up, making your bed in the morning. We provide transportation. We have curfew. 7 days a week we have a curfew. When individuals come into our houses, we want them to hit the ground running. We are an action program. We're not just a bed. If you're going to come into survival recovery, we make it clear during the application process, the interview process, that you're here to change your life. I didn't change my life by sitting still, and we make sure that that's clear from the beginning. One of the first things we get to do is help individuals. A lot of people don't have their ID or Social Security card or birth certificate, and we jump right on that because we want them to find employment. And there's no shortage of jobs in Hagerstown. My girlfriend Heather here, who is just amazing with resumes, they immediately go Gatekeepers, get her assistance with the resumes, and she applies them to some jobs that they're interested in, and they normally get 1 or 2 calls within the first week to set up an interview process. And just the gentleman we had come into our house maybe 4 or 5 months ago. He spent 11 years in incarceration. And he came up to me the other day after a house meeting, which is held on Sundays, and showed me a piece of paper. He got his driver's license, and he's been working. He landed employment about a week and a half after he's been there. He's just been on a mission. And that's what this is all about. I get excited. I haven't woke up with a hangover in about 8 years, and that might not sound like much to some of you, but for me, it's a big deal for me. And so because I put myself through hell for 27 years, it doesn't take much for me to get excited about life. So I look forward to seeing other people experience that. We've gotten some people. We're starting to take a lot of people from on house arrest, and watching these guys come in. One of our guys is employed with BJ's, and he's excited to get out and get working and start back to living life again. And there's rewards to that. Watching these guys go. We started out with one house in April of 23, and we currently have 5 houses now, and we're going to open the 6th house. So it's been a really cool thing to be on the opposite side of the deal, be able to assist people like somebody once assisted me, pay it forward to see the outcome and people grow. So it's been a good ride the last year and a half since we've been doing this. So appreciate you guys having us.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm going to keep using your term here, Betty. Another piece of our beautiful puzzle we're putting together here is Eva Kelly, the Executive Director from Ladders to Leaders. Go ahead, Eva, tell us a little bit about what you have going on.
So let me start with the reentry part, because that's where I'm at today through reentry. Back in 2016, and probably a few years before that, doing some things I shouldn't have been doing. Ended up getting caught, got locked up. I was supposed to have a delayed sentence, but the judge was like, nope, you wasn't delaying when you was doing what you was doing, so you're going to jail. However, the day reporting center was opening up. It was supposed to open up a lot sooner than what it did. But, I went to the day reporting center. I was in there for a few months. Everything was fine until they introduced us to relapse prevention class. Through the day reporting center, I met Malin and Bill. I successfully completed Business of Living through Gatekeeper. So let's go back to that day when I was in relapse prevention with this guy that was my former boss. Comes in there, he has this little chip on his shoulder, and he says something, and I was in a situation with my mom, and he's like, what would you be able to answer your phone if you was in jail? And I was just like, you know what, f this, I'm done. Started cussing him out. Malin across the hall. Malin comes and gets me, and he's like, what's going on? And I'm like, man, I'm going back to this class. And then the director comes in and is like, if you don't complete this class, you're going back to jail. So Malin was like, you're better than that, be better than him. So then he talks about this job, the guy that does relapse prevention is talking about a job that he has, and I ended up applying, and fast forward 3 years later, I have his job. And I revamped his whole program into something different. In the process of revamping, I was looking at, okay, we do provide recovery housing to men in recovery, but I'm a woman in recovery. Where's the women's houses? Because at the time, there was barely any recovery houses. So we opened a women's house. It's been open for a little bit over a year, and it's thriving. But I also looked at the bigger picture. Okay, helping these people that want to live in a recovery house, but what about those out on the streets that are not ready? What about the families? What about the communities that we destroyed while we were doing the things that we wasn't supposed to be doing? So I opened up Ladders to Leaders to do community support, community outreach. So I found grants to build community gardens and give back produce to the community. We do a trash pickup where we go out into the community and pick up trash, and we use people that are homeless and in recovery and people that are trying to change their lives. And then we just do community support things, like we do Christmas giveaways and Thanksgiving giveaways, or just events to show that we care about the community, and that, yeah, one time we was like a frown on people's faces, but we can change and be better. And we took a step forward, and we actually are helping community partners as well and getting involved in volunteering and helping give back to the community as a whole and not just to ourselves.
Thank you. Thank you, Eva. And we all got to hear another connection and piece of the puzzle when Eva got to meet Malin, who convinced her, and look at the proud accomplishment she's made of even taking up another person's role and making it bigger and brighter. Thank you. Next up, we have Whitney Brett, who is Business of Living Program Coordinator for Gatekeepers, and every once in a while she actually lets me teach a class for her. I always hope I have my A game that day. Share with us, Whitney, what you have going on.
Hi, yes, as Lara said, Lara like Sarah, I know. My name is Whitney Burnett. I am the Program Director for Gatekeepers, and this means that I maintain and develop the programs that we offer to the returning citizens in our community. Of course, and I want to say that I do that always with the original Business of Living philosophy in mind. It was established by Bill. We've heard his name a million times today, but it means something to me. So what I wanted to say is my position, it's not a job. It's not a career like so many of us in here. This is my life's work because it closes a major loop for me. I was incarcerated as a juvenile, and upon release, I was 17 years old. I was facing adulthood with little to no experience at all. I'm now 38 years old, so this is 20 years ago. But when I found my way into Reentry, I realized how much of my life was founded on that. I didn't realize that I was raised by the system. I didn't realize that I was Reentry. So yeah, there's that part. I lost where I was going. Anyway, so what I wanted to also include is the services that you guys provide. They are amazing. You guys are the ones that I get to work with very regularly. Gatekeepers started with the Business of Living. We do, like Sarah said, where sometimes you come and teach a class. We do classes inside, outside, in rehabilitation facilities. We do all different kinds of things. And then be able to meet the basic needs of the individuals. And that's where this comes in, where I get to work with you guys as far as housing and employment and whatnot. The most recent program that I started to work on was called the Next Steps program, because I really sat into the seat and realized, okay, we are doing a lot of work to meet these basic needs. Not saying that it's phenomenal that every single person is housed upon release. It's or that they have access to it, but we're doing a really, really good job making a lot of efforts towards that. However, I started to ask myself, what happens after that, right? What happens once you are in a transitional housing situation and you do have a job and you are making these steps? Will you become stagnant? Do you go backwards? Where do you go from there? So the Next Steps program really goes back to the 17-year-old Whitney learning these things about life. When I get my first apartment, what are the things that I need to know? What is a lease? What are the things that are inside of lease? What do I need to understand about this the way this is written? Education. We also do a lot of financial literacy, and a lot of growth mindset. But that is my baby right now. It's a pilot program. We've that the first class we've reached the end of the original curriculum, so we're meeting monthly just to talk about and maintain that networking and masterminding of our lives. And then I've just started with the next class. So you've heard a lot about gatekeepers, and that's just my gatekeepers and where we're going.
Thank you, Whitney. And that next steps is so important. We can't just finish because basics are finished. We have to take those next steps, like all of us in adulthood. And wrapping up this puzzle of panelists today is Ms. Brooke Grossman, our Chief Mission Officer from Horizon Goodwill.
Thank you. So I actually have 2 jobs, I think, in these minutes, and like you, I have a hard time staying on track. So one is to talk a little bit about Goodwill, and I think some of what we've heard today. So I'll start with just telling you a little bit about Horizon Goodwill, and I will say Horizon Goodwill, Horizon Goodwill, Horizon Goodwill, because there are 153 different Goodwills in the country, so when I tell you what we do, it is specific to us. I don't want you to go back to Baltimore and ask Chesapeake to do this, because they would tell you no. So Horizon Goodwill, we serve 17 counties in the 4-state area, so 2 counties in Pennsylvania, the 3 western counties of Maryland, 5 counties in Virginia, and 5 counties in West Virginia, and 5 counties in Virginia. And so my role as Chief Mission Officer is not only the external work that we do to serve people in our community, but also Human Resources Department, our training and development, and everybody's favorite fundraising to make sure that we can keep doing some of these things we do for our communities. So our real mission is to meet people where they are, whether they're re-entering from incarceration, whether they're in recovery, whether they're a young adult who might have a parent who's incarcerated, who's been living on their own because they haven't had that. We really are trying to craft programming that meets them where they are. And I think that's really important for all of us to hear, because because of funders or policy or some of that kind of work, often asking people to jump through a lot of hoops to get what should be basic help. And so we've tried to craft programming that meets them where they are. I'm getting a little sad or sad happy when I look over. I actually was like teaching a class the day Ava's first day. So it's happy to sit up there on this panel with her right now. But so we go from basic needs from a breakfast program that is just come and eat if you're hungry, to workforce development, to housing specific people who are returning citizens, whether returning from our prison system, our detention centers, recovery services, workforce development programming, a paid work training program. And then one of the things I think that is important for us to acknowledge about us and about people where they are is also people that work for us, meeting them where they are, right? We hire a ton of people that have different barriers to employment. A lot of them have legal histories. And within our Human Resources Department, we have a case management team, right? So you don't have to leave for that service if you want. And whether it's because you're in reentry, maybe it's because you work for a nonprofit, and unfortunately we can't pay high wages to every single person that works for us, and you're struggling to pay your rent. We have staff on our staff to support you with that, because we don't want our employees to have to leave work, right, to go access these other resources. And then contradict what you said earlier about retention. Not contradict, we're just different in this way, because we have 750 employees, but not all of them are living wage jobs. We know that, and it meant to be a starter job for a lot of people. That training and development department for us as an organization is about getting you trained up so that you can move up with our organization or move out. And I can't tell you how many people I've had this argument with, especially those coming from incarceration, that I want you to leave. I love you, but go somewhere else. And it's not because we don't want you within our organization, but it's because we want you to go where is best for you, where you're going to grow, where your family's going to grow, where you're going to be able to buy a home, right? You can go out and sing our praises, and please do, but don't stay in a place that is not going to be successful for you, right? So that's really important to us. Don't to highlight that. Program-specific stuff, I'll be around afterwards, and I can talk about those different things. And so then just to kind of sum up, so the thing that I've, been a couple of things kind of rumbling through my head as I've heard people talking today. And one of them goes all the way back to when Malin/Sharon started speaking earlier, was I think all of our reentry is being a holder of hope for the people that we're working with, right? There are days, I'll tell you, I don't know many little girls who grow up thinking they work in the prison system. This weird one did, until she did. And then that dream quickly changed, right? When I got my job at MCTC, I was so happy. I couldn't wait. I was going to change lives. And then I got strip searched. They opened my lunch, and I felt like, how dehumanizing is this, right? And how hard it was to be hopeful in a place like that. We came out into the community and wanted to be a holder of hope for people. Because that's really hard, right? Especially when you come out and maybe the only job you can get is, mopping floors somewhere. It doesn't feel good, right? And so we have to create space where we're holding that hope and when it feels hopeless for others. And the other thing was, we keep saying reentry, 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 reentry. And I think the word that was popping up for me more than reentry was homecoming. Whether you're coming back to the community that you left or you're coming to the place that you're going to make your home, people are coming home. And so we have to create a home for them, right? And when I go home, one of the things I love the most, right, are my friends and my family and my community. And so everybody here is doing work to create that sense of community. If you're at Gatekeepers on a Saturday morning, you're with your family, right? Not just the people keeping the gate for you, but those are your family members. And so I think, I just want to kind of hit that again, that we're creating a home. We're helping people come home. And when people feel a part of something, right, that's when they stick and they stay. And that's when they tell you when things aren't going well or when they are. And it's really important for us to hear those voices. So I think that I loved today. Thank you guys so much. And then one other piece I'll just say, I think we all have a responsibility, and we heard the mayor talk about briefly earlier the broken systems that we all work within. And so we also have a responsibility to uplift voices and to make sure that if that system is broken, we're getting to the people that have the power to fix it and let them know that it needs to be changed, right? We hear, if you live in Hagerstown or Western Maryland, but Hagerstown specifically, Washington County, we hear all the time about all of the of our county are a result of the prison system that is here, right? It's not true. It's not true at all. We're a result of the systems that keep people in so that they can't grow, right? So that they can't succeed. And so part of our role, I think, as the holders of that hope is to be the advocates, right? And make sure that those systems change so that there's growth and development, right? There'll always be prisons, unfortunately, but that doesn't mean that it has to be our story. I'll stop with that.
Thank you, Brooke. Thank you. A lot of great lessons in this panel. We're all going to go out and be a piece to an amazing puzzle and hold hope for others and create a great homecoming for people who are coming back into the community. I'll turn it back to you, Lynn.
Thank you. Everyone, please give our wonderful panel a hand. Thank you. All right, thank you so much. And now we are getting ready to land this plane. Thank you for hanging in there with us. If I could please have all of our service providers and resources just stand in front of the stage here for a moment. So anyone that has a table out there, or you didn't get a table, but you have a resource that you provide, if you could just stand here in the front. Because as I mentioned before, the work of reentry we can't do it without the services in the community. It's just not possible. The Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services, we rely on those that provide the services and support to be there for our population. And we want to continue to partner with each and every one of you. So, here we have a list of the vendors and the tables, the resources that are out in the lobby today. And if anyone is missing, apologies, but please ensure that that was not intentionally done, okay? And so take a look at that list. Yes, take your phone out, snap a picture. If anybody tells you that there's not anything going on for reintegration, homecoming. I love what Brooke said, homecoming. Here in the western part of the state, the tri-state area, they are very, very wrong, okay? So with that being said, if everyone could just speak up, go in line, and say the name of your organization real quick. We'll start over here.
Dr. Ron Garrett, Metalworks Behavioral Health.
Chris Vasilenko, Director of Reentry at Symposium Health for Maryland.
Linnea Sampson, Quality of Life Homes Behavioral Health Program.
Dr. Daphne Snowden, Maryland Education Opportunity Center.
Stacy Grieve with Help Your Lives Behavioral Health in Baltimore.
April Sandy, Executive Director, Justice Jobs of Maryland.
Sarah Cosgrove, Employment Program Coordinator for Justice Jobs.
Bill Johns, True North.
Jason Betting with Citizens Assisting and Sheltering the Abused in Hagerstown.
Harris Brown, Reentry Case Manager for Justice Jobs of Maryland.
Delia Trickett with Community Mediation, Statewide Program, Reentry.
All right, please give them all a round of applause. Many of these organizations are also nonprofits, so when you think about giving, this is the charitable season giving for the state. Some of them may not be registered in that program, but when you think about giving to a nonprofit, please consider one of these organizations as well. So thank you all for being here. And if you could, please just return to your seats. We're getting ready to wrap up, so thank you once again. Just a couple of slides that I want to show real quick. So we do have social media, so please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can find us at Maryland Public Safety. So, you know, if you want to snap a picture of that, if you do social media, please follow us there. And then to our next slide here. So you heard me mention briefly earlier in the program about 211 Maryland. So we have a texting service, and you can get updates on different events happening around the state for reentry. If your organization has a program, you can feel free to email me, and we'll put that event on the texting service, but you won't be able to access it unless you actually subscribe. So please make sure to text Reentry to 898-211, 898-211. We have over 400 subscribers right now, and it's growing, so we're very proud of that also. And then I just want to acknowledge my two wonderful team members here. So if you'll come to the podium. All right, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Sophie Baxter. I'm a project coordinator on Tolin's team.
Hello, my name is Sarah Gunn, and I'm also a project coordinator with Tolin.
So stay up here with me. These two are just extremely phenomenal. I went from being a one-person unit to essentially a three-person unit. And it's great to have the kind of support that I do have with these two. Because I tell you, I'll be sitting there at my computer, I'm like, listen, I need you to send this email. They're right there, Johnny, on the spot. You know, I need you to make this phone call. I need you to make this update to that. You know what? This work is so critical that it requires that type of help. Because we can't do this alone. Stuff is happening in real time. My office will get calls for people needing support. The community has my cell number. Very rarely am I not able to get back to somebody who sends me a message on this phone. And that means a lot. Because this work oftentimes, a lot of folks are operating in crisis mode. And it's a matter of a few minutes, a few seconds, a day or two before somebody loses hope. So under the leadership of Secretary Carolyn J. Stuggs, the Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services, I thank each and every one of you for being here today. Thank you for your time, for your passion, your love, and your support of this community, and for welcoming individuals home safely and securely. We will have follow-ups in the coming days and weeks ahead. We will have a part 2. We will be in the kitchen cooking that up, so we'll let you know what that is. And then I also want to thank our supporters, our sponsors, once again, Centurion Health, Gatekeepers, Survival Recovery, and Operation Second Chance. A survey will go out in the next few days as well, so make sure you respond to that survey. Let us know how we can improve. And as always, thank you for your service to our community. Take care. Safe travels home.